I'm not sure Sahid is here. I can't still find him. So we'll go over to the next speaker, and that is Augustina Orie Ndo. She'll be talking on between plant-based healing and genetic engineering, ethical reflections from Francophone African women's literature. Please, Augustina Orie, I think I can find your name here. Please make your presentation. You have 15 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to be part of this thought-provoking conference that's been really insightful for me.
Okay, sorry to cut in, Augustina. Please, can you turn on your video so that we can get to see you? Thank you.
Okay. Let me do that. Just a minute, please. Please, I'm coming. I need some help now. Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you. If you can't turn the video, please continue. It's taking a lot of time already.
Okay, please, I would like to continue because I don't know whether it's network that is off and on here. I wanted to share my slide, but I'm finding it a bit difficult now. So let me just...
If you can't share your slide, can you turn on your video? The video icon is near the microphone icon.
I can see it, but as I'm trying to turn it on, it's telling me here it can't be turned on because the host has disabled.
Okay, please continue.
Okay, let me get back to my PowerPoint. Okay, the topic, my title is Between Plant-Based Healing and Genetic Engineering. So there are debates surrounding plant-based healing and genetic engineering in recent years in African literature, particularly among Francophone African women writers. So we see traditional healing practices is an integral part of African cultures, with plants playing crucial role in treating various ailments because diverse array of therapeutic molecules is offered by these plants. Then there is, today we talk about also the plant metabolic engineering is employed to produce valuable compounds with therapeutic properties, which highlights the promise of plant-based healing through genetic modifications. There is, we are considering in this place, critical ethical questions about authority, autonomy, and tradition, and then the control of genetic resources as we talk about these plant-based healings. The study provides vital information on plant-based healing and how to develop products and technologies from plant-based materials for human enhancement in line with ethical standards. This juxtaposition of ancestral knowledge with modern biotechnology invites a reconsideration of the moral and philosophical foundations of healing, body, autonomy, and the biopower. Then there is the gain. Going to see in the study, it will help us to gain a deeper understanding of complex relationships between culture, tradition, and then modernity. It's a bridge to help us to bridge the gap of less attention that has been paid to representation of healing practices function as ethical critic and field studies that is connected to the literary depictions to the bioethical implications of contemporary biotechnologies like genetic engineering. When we are talking now, what I have here is focus, and we are basing it on literary works. And the literary works I chose were La Femme au Pied Nu from Francophone Africa of Mokasonga. And then I have the other one from Maris Conde, the Moatituba, Sosiano de Salem. These are the two works that we actually find plant-based healing as these women used it and exposed the cultural practices, that is cultural medicinal practices of Africans. And because of these write-ups done by women, I think I'm connecting the study to feminist values and then the decolonial theory. We see that the study argues that this literary text provides a valuable epistemological counterpoint to dominant biomedical discourses. The text invites us to ask the questions: who controls knowledge about the body? What is lost when healing becomes techno-scientific intervention? And how can literature inform bioethical reflection on justice, autonomy, and care? So feminist varieties are articulated by scholars like Susan Sherwin and Margaret Urban Walker. And this emphasizes relational autonomy, embodied knowledge, and the sociopolitical context of healthcare decisions. This critiques mainstream bioethics for its emphasis on abstract individualism and biomedical neutrality. On the other hand, we see that decolonial philosophy, particularly as developed by thinkers like Walter Mignolo and Sylvia Wynter, questions the Eurocentric epistemologies that have defined what counts as rational scientific. Wynter, for example, calls for a redefinition of the human beyond the colonial, man of Western humanism, while Mignolo advocates for epistemic disobedience against the colonial knowledge systems. What are we talking about here? That is talking about bringing us to these plants, because what really attracted me to this is the mention of plants, medicinal plants, as it was used in the traditional system, as we could see from Mukasonga, that is La Femme au Pied Nu. We see variety of crops that were written there in their own name, that is in their native name. We see there a crop called Nkiriwomonga, and then we saw that of Umubirizi. We saw Uruteja. So these plants, I try to look up their botanical name and then to find out their bioactive compounds and how these things, through what we call today biotechnology, can be used in the gene, in the use of how we can use these plants and make it more and use them, enhance their nutritional or their bioactive compounds, which is one of the works, one of the things biotechnology is all about. So Francophone African women's literature offers the importance of traditional knowledge and practices related to plant-based healing. Bioethics emphasizes the need to respect and protect this knowledge, particularly in the face of modernization and globalization. It requires cultural sensitivity and awareness of the historical and the cultural context of traditional practices. Francophone African women writers, or this Francophone African women literature, it provides a platform for exploring these issues and promoting cross-cultural understanding. The use of plant-based healing practices raises questions about informed consent, particularly in cases where traditional practices have been adapted for modified for modern use. Both authors, in their works, they explore the theme of identity, culture, and resistance, shedding light on the experience of women in post-colonial societies. Now, if we don't have the background of the novel and what it talks about, we might not fully understand reasons why these medicinal plants came in. From Mukasonga, we see that the work, the novel, La Femme aux Pieds Nus, is from that work. La Femme aux Pieds Nus is a memoir, is a testimonial that explored Mukasonga's personal experience, history, and then the history of her mom, Stephania, within the context of the Rwandan genocide. That is, during the Rwanda, how this made them to move from one camp to the another. So the memoir documents the environmental conditions of forced resettlement within Rwanda in the decades prior to the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. So this writer critiques the Belgian administration's interest in rationalizing and controlling the native population through agricultural policies, which anticipated the genocide. So Mukasonga, in recounting her mother's deep medicinal healing in pre-genocide Rwanda, exposed...
Speaker?
Hello?
Yeah, you have 5 minutes.
Are you...
Yeah, you have 5 minutes, please.
Okay. It exposes plant-based healing practices intertwined with loss, survival, and the social knowledge. So the Marie Kondo, in the same vein, has challenged dominant narratives that could lead to erasure. Her novel, Moi Tituba Sociana de Salem, is a historical novel that reimagines the life of Tituba, a slave accused of witchcraft during the Salem witch trial. So Konde gives a voice to Tituba, reinserting her into history and challenging the dominant narratives that erased her. Tituba inherits healing knowledge from her mother and spiritual ancestors, using herbs and the ritual care to care for her community. So why this study come up here is we have seen that biotechnology plays today a significant role in enhancing medicinal plant properties through various techniques. So, and then scientists use genetic engineering to improve medicinal plant yield and properties. This genetic modification increases the production of desirable compounds, like what we saw in artemisinin in Artemisia annua, used to treat malaria. When I was going through some of these medicinal plants, their uses were given, like when they talk about umubirizi, it is a dewormer. And so the study will help us and help the help those that are in the farming system to know and find out the medicinal plants that are related, that can easily come together, and then whether the genetic use of any of them, the genetic implication of any of them will increase the productivity of the compounds that is desired, that is meant for healing. When we are talking about healing, we know that we mean the well-being of Africans and people. That we want to say that in this presentation, this biotechnology and then the medicinal plants used in the traditional way, there are things that we must know. Just as other speakers have spoken, the genetic engineering of these medicinal plants should not override or reduce or take away the ethics of the Africans. So we see there have been tensions in the coming of these technologies. Today we talk about food, the GMO food that is being talked about that is harmful to humans. And then because of some of these implants, some of these technologies that is being used today. So we see that there is need for Africans to make sure and to examine those in politics, those that are into these into the different areas, the agricultural sets. For anything to be accepted, those in politics, there should be proper examination to make sure that when we are trying to enhance the biotic compounds in this medicinal plant, that they do not go a long way to cause harm to the individuals that they are meant to actually enhance. So in conclusion, the Francophone African Women's Literature offers brief underexplored resources for thinking through contemporary bioethical dilemmas. So Conde, Montituba, and Lafamo Piednu reviews that traditional healing is not merely a cultural artifact, but a site of philosophical reflection on autonomy, justice, and the meaning of health. This narrative challenged dominant biomedical paradigms by foregrounding embodied relational and the colonial forms of shape the future of medicine. We must ask whose visions of healing are being privileged and whose are being silenced. So literary texts like this serve not only as a testimonies, but as ethical interventions, reminding us that the body is never just biological. It is historical, political, and is deeply human. Thank you for listening. Hello? Hello?
Yeah. Thank you, Augustina. Thanks for your paper.